Good evening, Daf Samach He Amud Aleph Shavua Tov. We are around halfway down. Four lines from four lines from the top. Gufa. Reviewing what we said earlier. Madav Keren Ki'ain Shekanav. When you're paying back the original thing that you stole, we're going to call it $100. You pay the principal back $100. تشلم كافل بتشلم أربعة خمسة بكشاءات عمدا بدين. However, the kafil value times two, or the 4 or 5 the knas, the penalty if it was an animal that you stole and sold or slaughtered, you pay the value of it of what it was when you saw you get sued in court. Right. So if the animal was worth $100, you're paying $100 principal. Then for the 4 or 5 times, or for the 2 times, 200%, you check how much it was worth in court if it's more or less. So like Gemara says, my time I did have what's the reason? Makra the pasuk says, Gineva v'hayim, a stolen item in live, right? Double ashon. How come I mentioned live when it said stolen item? Rather to teach you that you pay the principal, the original amount, when he stole it. All right, it's a classic English insult as well. Yeah, I think that Rob said this when he was sleeping. Right? Like you say, like, oh, you're not paying attention, you're sleeping. Tanya, like, I doesn't agree with it. Braita says, if someone stole an animal and he fattened it up. So it was a 100-pound cow, now it weighs 200 pounds, which makes it more valuable. You pay the value of times 2 or 4 or 5, depending what it is, according to the value of when he stole it, not at the time of the payment, like we said. Question against Rava. Gemara answers, Amari, so the Gemara says simple that it depends on the situation, and in that situation, if the animal is getting fattened by the thief, the guy shouldn't have to pay for that. Tashma, shmeina v'heisha. If a guy stole a fat animal and he caused it to get lean, you pay the original value of when it was stolen. The Gemara says, Atamami, over there also you shouldn't pay the value of the time in court because the owner can say, I don't care when he killed it. I don't care when he sold it. Meaning, if you took my 500-pound animal, now it weighs 100 pounds. I don't care when you sold it or stole it. Pay me what it was when I had it. All right. So therefore, he agrees in that case that you pay the original value. Kikama when did Rav say that you paid 2 or 4 or 5 in the time of court? Beyukra vezula the kamar. So in return to a case where it went up and down in price than the time in court. What's the case? If you would say originally it was worth 1 zuz, right? And then it was when at the court case it was worth 4 zuzim. In that case, Rav would say you pay the principal when he stole it. And lema pliga de Rava ad Rabba, and let's say that Rav would disagree with Rabba. Right? Someone stole a keg of wine from someone else. Originally when he stole it was worth a zuz. And at the end, when it was destroyed, it's now worth 4 zuzim. Tavra or shatya, if he destroyed it by drinking or breaking it, you pay 4 zuzim at the time of destruction. It if it broke by itself, he didn't do anything, Mishlam usually paid 1 zuz. So the Gemara says, and the reason over there is because technically when you are eating it or stealing it, eating it or breaking it on purpose, you are reacquiring it, right? It's because you stole it originally, you acquired it. When you're breaking it, now you're putting this responsibility on your head of destroying it or breaking it, and therefore you pay the value of that time. Masha Enkin, if it breaks by itself, you never reacquired it, so therefore it goes with the original price. So the Gemara says, Amri, Kika when does Rab agree with Rabba? Originally, it was worth 4 zuzim, and then it ended up being worth 1 zuz. In that case, he pays the original $100 when it's stolen, and he pays 2, 3, or 2, 4, 5 times worth when in court. Brought a proof for Rav. Shomer Hinam, a free guy, free watcher, watching saying that the item that he was watching got stolen. Then Ishban, he swore falsely. And then he admitted that he lied. And when he testified also that he stole it, if he admitted before the din came, he pays the original $100, 1/5 penalty, 20%. and the Korban Hashem. Oh, I didn't know that. The Edom already came, and then he agreed. Then he admitted and he pays the 2 and the Korban. And his 1/5 payment comes with the kefel. And that is specifically talking about a case where, and we're going to see soon, when that's the same amount. Meaning, the only time you pay your 20% is covered by your kefel is when the 20% is equal to the kefel. How does that make sense? We'll discuss soon. But just keep that in mind. When that payment is identical, it's the only time it cancels each other out. David Rabbi Yaakov, that's what Rabbi Yaakov was. וחכמים אומרים, turn page on עמוד ב', בראשו וחמישיתו, the pasuk says that you're paying the principal amount and a fifth. ממון שמשתלם בראש מוסיף 5. The money that you're paying in the principal, you add a fifth. ממון שאין משתלם בראש, but if you're not paying the exact amount originally, then you're paying multiple than that, אין מוסיף 5, you don't have a 5 anymore. רשב"י אומר, רשב"י אומר, אין 5 והאשם משתלם במקום שיש כפל. There is no fifth in the Asham in a time when there is kefel, times 2. It says, if his 1/5 is equal to his kefel, the Rabbi Yaakov we said earlier, it cancels out. So the Gemara says, what's that case? If it's a case where he stole it and it was 4, and then in the end was worth 4, is that 1/5 equal to the kefel? No. The kefil is 4 zuzim, and the 1/5 is 1 zuz. So that's an equal. Elav must be a Tomar case. The Merikara Shab Arba Abbas of Shava Zuza. The kefila Zuza. The Humshe Zuza. Rather, the Tomar case where it was originally worth 4, then it was worth 1 zuz. And the kefil technically is another zuz. And therefore, for Humshe Zuza, also the 1/5 is a zuz. Therefore, Alma Keren Kinshin. Therefore, we see, according to Rav, that you would hold that a guy who stole something is paying the principal when he stole it, and when he's paying the kefil penalty, you're paying it at the time of court. That's the only way it would work out, that the 1/5 is equal to the kefil. Nice solid proof, but we knock it out. Says the case where it was 4 and it still is 4. So how would it make sense in a case where the kefil is equal to 4 with the chomesh and the 20%? חכמה הסכים וסתומת גאון שנשבע וחזר ונשבע ארבע פעמים. He swore falsely 4 times. והודה, then he confessed he lied. והתורה אמרה, בחמישיתיו, he shall add the fifths. התורה הרבתה חמישיות הרבה בקרן אחת, you can have multiple fifths, meaning if he kept on lying and swearing falsely, you're adding on fifths, and that's how it equals to the principal. Okay, Amar Mor said, וחכמים held, ברושו וחמישיתו. Pasuk said, in regarding to the fifths, you're paying the principal amount and the fifth. When you have the money paying in principal, you add a fifth. That's what we said before. Money that's not being paid by the principal amount, rather more than the principal, there's no more chomesh. But they still agree that you bring the korban asham. So the Gemara says, the reason why you don't bring the chomesh, the 20% when there's kefil, because the pasuk says only when you're paying the principal. The Gemara said Asham, but if that's the case, the word Asham is also there, and therefore the korban Asham also mentions the korban Asham. So therefore, maybe same way you don't pay the chomesh the 20%, you should also be patur from the korban Asham. The word et in between that pasuk separates it, and therefore the et before Asham separates it, and you're always chayav the korban Asham. Gemara says, what does he do? How does he learn that? The Gemara says ve'et arvei kra. He says no, the ve'et combines it because it's a vav. So ve'et ashamo actually includes the asham. The Gemara says Rabban would say, how does he answer that? Lo vav lo et. Pasuk didn't have to write et in the first place. So if the fact that he wrote the et, he had to write the vav, but still it's a separation. The Gemara says Rabbi Shimon would say back to that, he doesn't like that because et lo sagi lo klav the afsuki b'mon the gavol b'mon hadyot. Torah had to write the word et because it wanted to separate the money between God and people, right? Paying the 20% to the person and the korban Hashem to Hashem. Hilkach atavav arvei kra, and therefore you need the vav to come in there as well. Okay. Amarav il'a Allah says, Ganav tle v'na'asa ayil. Very interesting case. You stole a ram, and then by the time you got caught, whatever it was, it turned into a. Sorry, you stole a lamb, and by the time you got caught, you turned into a ram. Egel shinasa shor, calf, it turned into an ox. Already got older, v'na'asa shinu biyado. Oh, it had undergone a physical change while in your possession, and therefore you acquired it. Therefore, if you slaughter or sell it, shelohu toveach, he sold his own thing, and in patur from the 4 or 5. Shalahu Mocher is also his that he sold because it underwent a change. Right? The fact that it underwent a change while in possession, you acquired it. When you sold it or slaughtered it, it does not make you chayav on the 4 or 5 payments because you slaughtered your own item. It's very big another a question. Ganav tlev in asayil. If you stole a lamb and turned it to a ram. Calf turned into an ox. You pay 4 or 5 times. If you hold that the physical change changes the property, changes the ownership, and therefore it should be yours. It's yours that you're slaughtering, yours that you're selling. And 4 or 5. Where I said the Malay answers, what would you say? We don't have the halacha that the change of the animal doesn't change doesn't acquire by the thief. Why would you pay according to the value when he stole it? I should pay the current value of the. Now it was a $200 lamb, and now it's $1,000 ram. Pay $1,000. Make up your mind who's it belong to. The reason why you don't pay 4 and 5 and you don't pay the current value because the guy can tell him, Torah gandi mincha, I didn't steal an ox from you. Dichra gandi mincha, I didn't steal a ram from you. I stole babies. Amarle said back to him, may God help us from your logic. And he doesn't like his answer. Amarle, he says, Adraba. On the contrary, may God save us from your logic. They didn't see eye to eye, to put it nicely. Matkiv has a question. Let the thief acquire the animal because it changed in name, right? Even if it didn't go a physical change, but rather it changed in name, it should still be a change. Like it became a lamb, now it's a ram. Come on, it's practically a different animal. Where it says the Marava, short ben yomo karui short. Ayil ben yomo karui ayil. Right? So even though technically, yes, we call it differently, but the Torah itself calls the animal the same animal, whether it's a baby or an adult. Shor ben yomo karui short. A shor, even when they also call a shor, they keep shor or kesef or ayaz ki valet. Pasuk says when a ox or a sheep, a lamb or a goat when it's born, right? Born as an ox. Ayil ben yomo karui ayil. The ram when they were also called a ram. I didn't eat your rams of your flocks, newborn flocks, rams, still called ram. Now, he didn't eat ram, but he ate lambs, right? All right, so when Yaakov was telling Lavan, I didn't eat your stuff, I didn't touch your stuff, he called them all rams. So what does that mean? He said, I didn't eat your rams, but I ate your lambs. And that obviously meant I didn't eat anything. Even babies are considered rams. So therefore, we could find that it, even though it technically does change names, but we see that it is not necessarily a name change. We still have a question according to Rabbi Hanina. Meaning, if the transformation of the animal does equal the acquisition, why is the thief chayav to the 4 and 5? Patur. Rav Sheshet, Hanimani, who's according to Bet Shemai, the Amri Shinu Makamo Amaret Lo Lakani, a stolen item that stays in place. And he stays by the owner, the thief does not acquire it. Tanya. Right, there's a special halacha. You cannot bring a korban of an animal that was used to, or an item, even let's say flour that was used. Yeah, a korban minha is used for, is flour is used for oil. You cannot use an item that was used for a zona purchase, service, I guess. You cannot use the item that was used in that exchange to bring on the korban, or something that's used to buy a dog. Either way. The Gemara says though, if someone gave the zona or dog owner wheat for a change, for the exchange, the aslan sold then turned into flowers, the team gave her olives, and turned into oil, anavim grapes, and asiyan into wine. Tanya had the one brother that says asur, you can't use it for korban, it's considered the same thing. And I had another brother that says mutar, you're allowed to because it changed. And I said it says Tani go beyond the maspurk. This rabbi says bet shemai osrin, bet shemai is asur, bet hillel mutarin matirin. Bet hillel says mutar. My time bet shemai, why bet shemai say asur? The chtiv gam pasuk said gam by the pasuk to teach you the rabot shinuyim, not only the actual items that was used in the exchange, but even if it got changed. So if you sold wheat and it turned into flour, grapes, wine, even if you change it, that's all. Basically, says him him opposite. These items specifically are asur that was used, but not if you change the form. Which my answer, but he would say, how What's my answer to that? Who that word gam is to teach. Sorry, that word hem below baldos the hemudat is teaching you that the animal that was used in the exchange can't be used, but not the babies. If the animal had a baby. How would Betilel learn him from? Say that word hem teaches me both things. Hem him. The word hem teaches me them and not something as gets changed, and hem below baldos and also hem and not the babies. Haktiv gam. You also have the word gam that Bet used. It says Begam Batilal Kasha. Gam according to Batilal is a Kasha. So we'll continue from here in regarding to how to see Rabbi Alai's explanation with Bet Shammai. But right now we're still in the machloket about how you look at something that changes appearance or physical change, if that changes the acquisition that was made prior.